Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Khan Or coming to you with another 1v1 in Company of Heroes 2. I told you that I was going to bring you some more Shaker, and here's one of those games. We have just seen Pauly D, but we are going to see him again, and we have just seen Shaker earlier this week. We're going to see him again as well. So Pauly D over here in the north is playing, of course, the blue trunk forces of the Soviets. Down here in the south, playing the Wehrmacht. In the red trunks, it is Shaker, of course. We are going to take a quick look at the commander decisions, and then we're probably going to go on from there. So Shaker is bringing to the fray a Jaeger armor doctrine, which is not that common when you think about it. Elite troops doctrine, which is totally common. A mechanized assault doctrine, which seems to be another common pick from Wehrmacht players these days. Now, Pauly D had partisans and Lend-Lease tactics, which is what is right here. And I forget the third one, but the third one was a very, very uncommon one as well. So Lend-Lease Tactics does give you the opportunity to get those Dushka machine guns out, as well as a very, very early half-track assault group, I mean, comparatively. And conscripts are actually much better at that point. Excuse me, the last one I think is that Sherman, the 76 mil Sherman. So it's the variant Sherman that was dispatched to the Soviets early on in World War II. So we have a very, very quick call in from Pauly D. Probably not going to see too much getting used. I can't say for sure, though. It would be kind of uncommon to see a lot of Dushkas coming onto the fray here. But you will notice that he has built the special rifle company, so he's pulling out a bunch of penal battalions as opposed to throwing down the support weapon compania. So in my mind, he's using the Dushka to be a stopgap instead of the Maxim. So a lot more damage, but maybe a little bit less suppression. I'm not entirely sure that the stats breakdown between the two. Meanwhile, Shaker is sliding over here to the west. He is just going to pick up the western side of the map. He's got that, he's got a VP, he's got his fuel and supply already, and definitely had a Pauly D just by quite a bit. Here the guys exchanging some banter back and forth. Pauly D is just kind of surprised to see Shaker playing something other than OKW. And, I admit that's kind of different to see, but, we have seen Shaker play a fairly effective Wehrmacht. First engagement really on the field, coming between these Grenadiers and these Peanut Battalion troops. Now, Peanut Battalion troops are a little bit better shots than their conscript brethren, and it's probably a good thing, too, but when they're outnumbered and outflanked, it's not a great place to be. And you see two squads right now really laying into them. With the help of that MG42, they decide to back away, and that's the intelligent thing to do here. MG42 is trying to bring these combat engineers under fire, but the combat engineers do make it around them just in time. But it's not going to be a great place for them anyway. Combat engineers get brought under fire again, suppressed. They're going to have to go right back through all of the German attacks. Over here in the west, though, we are going to see these pies have been chased off by the Peanut Battalion. Like I said, those guys are much better shots, and they are going to start taking away the western side of the map from the Wehrmacht. But the Wehrmacht seems ready to already get back and start bleeding them dry. A early sniper coming out. Not rushed necessarily, but it's still an early one nonetheless. And right now, I have to admit, it's a little uncommon to see Pauly D's build order, mostly because Peanut Battalion troops are not spammed out quite to the extent that you usually see. I mean, very often you either go conscripts or you go full call-ins with either shock troops or with oh my gosh, what's the other term I'm looking for here? Even guards infantry, so you get a conscript or two to stopgap until guards come onto the field from things like guard mortar coordination tactics. Meantime, Shakers is not 100% standard either. Only building one Gren squad and going a lot more in the way of support material. Even putting a flamethrower on his Pios nice and early. That might be because Longer Sky has a fair amount of buildings, but the buildings, for the most part, are really on his side of the map. Yes, of course, you have this little blockhouse section over here, but just taking a look around again, there's not a whole lot of really great opportunities for the flamethrower to really distinguish itself. Conscripts in the meantime, Penal Battalion, I meant to say, are going to retreat as another squad does come back out to try to push away these Grenadiers, who are really just doing frustration caps as much as possible. And that sniper announces himself, and it does notice right now that there was going to be a teller mine right there, and immediately Shaker thought better of it. Now, the good thing about the Peanut Battalion is that they can actually bring in those flamethrowers that you see right there, and with a greater model count as well as slightly larger hit point pool than early German infantry, they can stand up pretty well in a straight-up fight. Of course, they do even better when they're trying to take out garrisons, but of course you have to get them close enough, and there's the issue, isn't there? Now, Paulie D is just about going to pick up his Dushka. My guess is the second he unlocks that, we're going to see the first call on the fray. Any second now, there we go, and unlocked, and there it is. So yeah, the Dushka's being called in right about now, 442 to 500. It's a single cap for the Germans, and neither player, excuse me, has really dominated the battle space just yet. See some flirting around the edges. For some reason, this Peanut Battalion has not decided to go for the munition point. Instead of trying just sliding around again, maybe going for a decap on the strategic point to the southern east side of things. See peanut troops fall away, and yep, here's one grab right there. Here's a frustration decap that's going to take out of supply pretty much the entire eastern side for Shaker. But you see him probably moving him pretty quickly with a sniper at least. Oh, no. Instead, he's going to go for the strategic points, the VPs rather, and really look to, oh, never mind. Poor guy. He's going to back away now. And really look to start draining tickets out from his erstwhile opponent here. We already are going to see that Dushka shift up. We did see it unload onto that machine gun. And coupled with the two Penal Battalion squads, we are going to see Shaker force back quite a fair bit here. Not a solid place to be. Can get around, can get a shot off, I think, pretty quickly. Start knocking out models nice and slow. And the good thing about that sniper is that if he deploys it correctly, these troops are basically begging to be slain. You see this guy right now already. Peanut Battalion losing 3 models in about, 15 seconds or so. Unfortunately for them, with that sniper unloading on the squad, he's going to get another one on retreat. Maybe, no. And instead, it's going to be another Dushka coming in, actually, for the Soviets. You see Paulie D just really starting to put a lot of pressure onto Shaker's troops here. And Shaker's going to go for that mechanized assault doctrine. He can call in those assault grenadiers, but it's not going to do a whole lot for him, at least in the interim. He is desperately trying to push back on these garrisons, but that's not even going to go very well for him. You see right now the Dushkas as well setting up and unloading onto the MG42, suppress them super quickly, and a ton of extra damage being done to them, forcing them back as well. So in a kind of a rough position is Shaker. He is up about 90 tickets, but that doesn't mean that everything's okay. And in fact, it means that things are pretty much double plus ungood. But Shaker has teched up to Battle Phase 1, and he's calling in that 222. Not going to be really great against the Dushka. The Dushka itself is a beast. I'm not going to say it's a 50 cal machine gun, but I think it's at least a 30 cal. I could be wrong on that one. Williams, if you know, feel free to let me know. I am actually not 100% sure myself. The 222 rushing into the middle of all the Russians. And he's just trying to start picking off these forces here. It's probably the best chance he's got at the moment. But the super light armor on the 222 is going to get shredded by this machine gun. Watch it start to fall apart here in just a second. He does push away a couple of squads, though, of the Penal Battalion troops. He might even chase a couple of them back. If he manages to pick off this squad, that could be quite a coup. But no, they're going to get away before he takes anybody out. In the south, we will see the Dushka actually gets outflanked by the Flame Pyos, and another grenade actually going down on them as well. Is that from the Grenadiers, I think? Yep. But the rifle grenade does not hit. Instead, we see the German squads kind of tentatively move forward. This sniper with 10 kills is going to put himself in pretty good position if he doesn't get caught out, but I guess that's pretty much what the 222 is for. Add in, by the way, that new mortar that's been called onto the field, and the very, very opportunistic placement of these machine guns will start to fall off with both the flame, the sniper, and the mortar to counter them.
The enemy is taking our territory.
We are going to see the Russians are going to take away the fuel from the Germans, but the Germans are going to return the favor over here in the east. And looking at how the game is developing right now, I might have to give a slight advantage to Shaker. He has not put a medic bunker inside of his base just yet, which is not the most ideal idea. but it's not terrible either. Okay, so now it's flame on flame, and we have machine guns going to get backed up pretty quickly. I didn't notice until just now, every single one of the Peanut Battalion troops has a flamethrower. Maybe not the most efficient use of munitions. To be fair, of course, though, he doesn't have any other really necessity in deploying them. A little bit distressing right now, too, is the fact that there's not a T-70 on the field. So with that, expect to see this second 222 go down super quickly. In fact, it doesn't even need to have the T-70 coming in. It goes down because of the Dushka. But the Dushka, in turn, takes a ton of firepower from that mortar. So it's just going to be trade city over here. But in any case, First Blood does go to Pauly D. And this 222 is probably going to go down as the T-70 is going to just chase it into oblivion. Main gun has been destroyed, or another round comes in but doesn't kill. Grenadiers come up. Do they have enough munitions to start throwing down tons and tons of Fausts? Yes, they do, but not before the 222 goes down. Yikes. Yikes. We are going to see a second T-70 coming out from Pauly D. So Pauly D is going all in with a light vehicle kind of play. Again, a kind of uncommon build order. But I guess not completely unheard of. I'm trying to think about how this works in the long term. I guess what he's trying to do is use the T-70s as a stopgap measure until he can start bringing those M4C Shermans. What's that, yeah, 380 and 135, so it's fairly expensive, not too much though. And he's going to also start dropping down the Allied supply drop. So, let's see, so I say fuel, and what else is he dropping down? Oh, just tons and tons of fuel. I always think for some reason that the supply drop is going to bring down things like, you know, anti-tank guns. But maybe I'm just used to that being from the original game. Peanut battalions are going to just continue to cut massive, massive gaps into SShaker's resource generation. Move over here to the east, and this brave machine gun is going to be taken under fire from multiple sources. See, 2, 3, 4 squads. All the Russian infantry is over here. It's the massive, massive human wave assault. And probably the only thing that's happened that's even remotely successful, they've now been able to suppress Beano troops for about 3 seconds. Now they're going to run right back through everybody else. Mike, yep, there's a drop coming out from SShaker, and there's an MG42 being dropped. See a pickup? No pickup at all? That's not really the best idea. I would say it's a perfect opportunity here. But no, instead, it's just going to be the Peanut Battalion troops chasing off that 222. Super fly fast. And a bit unfortunate if you are a German on this map. That T-70 is going to start to prowl around to the southeast, and that other T-70 has apparently been called off. Not 100% sure why. I guess it is kind of unnecessary fuel expenditure. I'm wondering, is he going to bring in the half-track assault troops? That could be interesting, actually. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody out there, but I do believe the Peanut Battalion troops are bringing in actually SVT-40 rifles as opposed to the conscripts, I think, are armed just with Mosin Nagants. Might be wrong on that one, but I don't think I am. But SShaker now has been thrust back into basically his home territory. And just these 3 squads of penal troops are just running rampant around. Kind of wondering what SShaker's going to do to come out of this one. He doesn't have the vehicles in play, and he's not going to have the vehicles in play. That T-70 outguns his 222 by quite a bit. And frankly, that thing is so delicate that it's going to fall apart if it takes anything more than just incidental fire. Unluckily, oh no! But the Stug coming in could be enough. So the Stug comes in, and this could be enough to clear up the T-70. It will mean the death probably of the T-70, excuse me, the 222, and there it goes. But now the damaged engine, that Stug can come forward, and there was a bit of a discussion over the last time we saw SShaker, and SShaker I know weighed in on this, and I have to agree with him to a certain degree. A lot of people, a lot of newer players, are a little confused as to whether or not it's better to build a Stug or to go for a Panzer. Now, it does depend on which Stug it is. The Stug E, for example, is often much better against infantry. It's the quintessential kind of assault gun, as opposed to a tank destroyer. And you see right now an Su-76 coming out. It'll still be enough to penetrate most light vehicles, but it will not be enough to penetrate later Allied tanks. When that Sherman gets on the field, it'll have a much harder time dealing with that.
We are losing a sector.
But in the beginning tiers, let's say, the Stug is excellent at what it does. If you want to take a look also, the Stug E, the short barrel cannon, it's a much lower velocity. That kind of explains to a certain extent why it's not as good against later tanks. Also worth noting that on maps that have a lot more lanes, assault guns are much more attractive options. This is something that for newer players might need to be mentioned a couple of times here. When your opponent has a lot of area to maneuver, and you have a turret that doesn't go very far, then at that point it's basically, gifting your armored vehicles over to the enemy. If there's lots of shot blockers, lots of fire lanes for you to take advantage of, and ways for you to back away without taking enemy fire, that's an excellent time to use tank destroyers, self-propelled guns, so on and so forth. See right now, the Stug is unfortunately getting caught out in one of the few fire lanes that doesn't really exist on this map by the Su-76, and a couple of rounds going off towards him, but he does make it away with minimal damage. Now over here in the east, we are going to see these Grens are going to attempt to fight off. There's a massive, massive wave of Soviets. Probably get pushed back in just a second or two, and Gren squad in fact actually even just goes down. That's just a giant waste there. Unfortunately, Shaker drops a squad on that one. And I just heard something explode, but I don't know what just exploded. Don't have a clue. Oh, okay. It's the light arty barrage coming out of the Su-76. Now, over here in the east again, we are going to see that the one Stug is going to get caught out again. So you see this happening a lot. Su-76 is trying to gain local kind of fire support onto those Stugs. But with P-Grunts on the field, the Su-76 effectiveness kind of goes down by quite a bit. See the Shreks coming out? One Shrek by itself hammers an Su-76. A full salvo will bring it down to half health by itself. So supported by the P-Grens, and this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot, is really the effectiveness of soft AT that comes out of infantry. They will take a lot of damage from their opposing infantry, and Pauly D just makes that just in time away from that bundle grenade, and had that gone off, it could have been much more devastating than it was. As you see now, it gives the opportunity for the Stug E's to come forward and rip off a couple of quick rounds before being forced back, and they really do need to be repaired pretty quickly. For the moment, they're okay, but it's not going to be like that for long. See right now, the Stug is going to back away in the face of the Su-76. Now the question is, will the Su-76 get close enough to take shots or be shot at by the Stug? I don't think so. Mostly because the Su-76 has a little bit of a longer range, I believe, than the Stug E. Might be a little bit off on that one. I'm sure there's somebody out there who'd be a little more precise. And to the east, we will see the boogeyman from the Germans is kind of still prowling around. He's still alive. 21 kills.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
And it might be looking like he has an excellent opportunity to really carve into the Soviet war machine in the middle of the map. It's also worth noting that if the Su-76 comes close at all, and Pauly D does know that there's probably mines around here somewhere. So Teller mine right there. And should that get accidentally uncovered, let's say, things would be very, very bad
Our supply lines.
for those Su-76s. A little bit curious though why it would be actually over there. Oh no, and this Pio, Pio's gonna book it out of there. 331 to 376. Pio's should barely be able to make it out alive. Won't be easy though. That's just up. Never mind, it goes down. And even worse, he drops the Flammenwerfer. 35? Yeah, 35. So right now you see that Pauly D's troops are kind of not linked up. They are kind of separated into two distinct kind of battle groups. I would say they're fairly fairly even, but it's really not. Ooh, and I kind of missed a Pac 40 coming out, and Pac 40 is going to get a couple of nice, brilliant shots over on top of the Su-76. And now even more distressing, though, for the Soviets. They might drop this combat engineer squad, and yep, there he goes. Su-76 are going to come up and take revenge, throwing rounds at the Stug. But it's not going to mean that things are going to be hunky-dory, and now we're going to see another, the Peanut Battalion squad. You can see that go down. Being destroyed, in fact, on that first Su-76 as well. Good gosh, we're seeing barrages and shots going in every which direction. But now we do have that M4C, and if you see that little smoldering corpse to the east, that was once, a rather brave Stug E. Now the question is, are we going to see? Probably not. I'm not sure how this is going to work necessarily. Shaker is going to be under a lot of pressure. This Sherman outguns his Stug by quite a bit, but this Pac 40 does a lot more damage than that. You see right there the example of the, oh my gosh, brilliant round, just amazing thing just happens right there. Sherman was about literally ready to fire. I saw the muzzle flare on that thing, and then the Stug took out the gun. Oh, lucky. That might have been where this game could be swinging around here. These P-Grens are more than enough to take out the Su-76s if they're brave enough. And right now, Pauly D is losing a fair amount of his infantry. He's only got 2 squads of really mainline infantry left. And a bunch of machine guns. But don't get me wrong, those machine guns are quite devastating. Question is now, where is that Stug E? It was back in base. So any opportunistic Su-76 moving forward is not going to do anything to it. And indeed, although Shaker has absolutely nothing that is like the others, I would say that one of these things doesn't belong. But right now he might even just set off his own mine, which would be quite of an issue too. Nope, it seems to go okay. Shockingly, I don't know how, but shockingly, this very, very diverse army is doing decently well against their opposing number. And I'm sorry, I just missed an Su-76 going down. Oh my gosh, was that just a mortar? I think the mortar, oh no, it was the mine underneath it just decrewed the Su-76. It'll be really kind of interesting to see whether or not another mortar round comes down to destroy it, or if it's just going to be left there to be recrewed. So right now we'll see the Dushka 36 or 38. I forget which model it is. I think it's a 36. 38, of course. Always go with your gut, Ulrich. Always go with your gut.
Territory is out of contact.
We'll get forced away. I'm actually going to see combat engineers sliding up to pick up the severely wounded Su-76. And what happened to War Machine like crazy for the Soviets is now kind of hampered quite a bit. Su-76 limping back super slowly. I actually kind of wonder if a machine gun could even take it out at this point. We'll note also that these Peanut Battalion troops are lying in wait, trying to catch out some unwary German patrol. And if they are unlucky, it will be the 2 snipers that get pinged. We see the captured MG-42 shifting forward as well. They're going to go in the garrison? Be a bad idea. No, even worse idea though is that now they're going to be setting themselves up to get slaughtered out in the open. 2 models going down already, and although one of these snipers, no, never mind, it will not get caught into any kind of crossfire here. Instead we're going to see that last Stug kind of prowling around again. Support weapons are going to get chased away by these Peanut Battalion troops. I'm kind of wondering though if Pauly D is kind of rocking back on his heels. The ticket situation is pretty much normal, 328 to 326. But with the armies being what they are, I still have to go with Shaker on this one. He's much more proactive in the ability of what he can deal with. Pauly D does have a mortar squad out, and that's good. But he can't really deal effectively now with the Stug unless he sacrifices his Su-76s. Coupling that too with the fact that he can actually probably call in another Sherman in about 20 seconds. That could be another opportunity for him to get back into this. He's up in tickets, but I maintain that it's not still even. One Su-76 though is charging forwards, and it's going to start to slam into the Stug E. But coupling that though with another Grenadier squad, and we could see the infantry fight finally shifting effectively back into the German hands. In the east, we're going to see the Dushka shift things back. See another shoreman coming onto the field as well. 25 minutes in, 328 to 300, and we see that the Germans are slightly under right now, not by much. P-guns prowling forwards, looking for a way to just start picking on those self-propelled guns. You can see that right now, one salvo, and then one shot from that Pack 40 is going to be more than enough to take it out. The Pack 40 still, the Pack 40 is sitting there trying to get line of sight on that other Su-76. It's not going to happen. Instead, we're going to see it probably get picked off as well, as the M4 Sherman moves in behind. It's going to take away the machine gun almost for sure. No, instead he's going to content himself going after the Stug. And with that Stug, this is something that was actually brought up in a conversation recently, was that usage of target weak point. Stunning that crew may not seem like a most effective use of munitions, but you have to realize how much damage now he's just been able to do without really taking any in return. This Pack 40's been decrewed, and that's important and all, but it's a little more important to see what happens to this Sherman. We're going to see a Faust coming out from these Grenadiers, and the 2 Shrek volley. Faust to damage the engine, and 1 Shrek has gone off. All it's going to take is 1 more round, 1 more volley, and that'll be enough to take out the Sherman. And if that is the case, then Pauly D has lost 2 Shermans for really no macro effect. And there goes that other Sherman. Good gosh, Pauly D has gotten savaged recently. The Pack 40 has been recrewed by the Soviets, but the dual sniper on the map, it's not going to be too much longer before that thing gets decrewed without too much of a problem. Rifle grenade coming through as well, taking out a model or 2 on the captured MG. And again, SShaker, who had been up against the wall for quite a bit of time here, is now right back in this. The mortar crew is not going to get away before it gets sniped off, I imagine. No, never mind, there it goes. And now the mortar is free and clear. Only thing keeping Pauly D in the field right now are these Dushkas. Su-76 running forward, trying to take out that Stug, and he might be able to, but now there is a Tiger on the field. And with a Tiger on the field, yeah, there's nothing that can touch it. There's a T-70 as well, so let's think about what just happened here. So SShaker brought in a Tiger, and a T-70 came in for the Soviets. So I kind of think that we have a devastating swing in power that's been happening right now, as you can see, with the Germans slowly taking pretty much all the territory they want to. Don't be fooled by the victory points turning blue. This Tiger is here, and he is here to stay. He's going to start curving it around behind the support squads. And though his first round goes across their bows like a warning shot, they know it's time to get out of there. And in the west, we're going to see a couple penal battalion squads. They're going to start to take some fire, I'm sure of it. A little surprised to not be a little more aggressive with the Tiga. Here we go. So now the T-70 announces its presence, and it goes, wait a second, that thing is huge, man. I'm screwed. Nevertheless, he goes bravely forwards, obeying the whims of his evil overlord here. One Wehr armor hit, and he is just going to be crying for his mama. He's going to start retreating right there. It's only by good graces that the Tiga has not been aiming for him the entire time. T-70 might even exchange his life, though, for these snipers, and it could be a good opportunity. He did drop one of them right now. Peak runs are, though, right there. And here comes the Shreks, and there goes the T-70.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
And alrighty, what's going on in the meantime? It's going to be a Soviet push to take back these points yet again. And again, these Dushkas have probably been the only thing that's going to keeping Pauly D in this game even as much as he's been. So very, very interesting build order from the Soviets on this one, and the Su-76 buys it after 1 round. Half health, I think, was pretty much begging to be slain. Peanut Battalion has gone over here, and it cooked up another MG42. So the Tiga has his work cut out for him in taking out these support squads. Too many machine guns does ruin the soup, but it does give your opponent a whole lot to think about. The question really is, can this Tiga take out this one Dushka and start to bring back the balance of power on the battlefield. One more. Oh my gosh, he's going to do an FU dive. This is an FU dive, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to come in, he's going to start. There goes the Dushka. MG42 is going to go down here as well. I can pretty much guarantee that. And yep, that's been decrewed. Pauly D now only has that Pak-40, another Su-76 coming out to the field. He has no anti-tank grenades, no anti-tank grenades even possible. And while he's going to start throwing rounds into the backside of this Tiger, it's not going to be enough to take him out. At least I don't think so. Good gosh, could it be enough to take him out? Nope. Tiger just says, you know what, I'm going to make an exit for myself right here. Exit stage left. And he backs away. And what that kind of assault did is that it definitely slowed down the Russian war machine. Su-76 is like, hey, I'm here, I'm doing something, right? And just starts throwing rounds and just kind of ping off Tiger's armor yet again. 31 minutes in, 317 to 191. It was a Soviet trip cap that might be sliding away from that slowly. We can see another Pioneer squad coming out, so that way that Tiger can be repaired with primo efficiency. And instead, we're going to see this not the 222. I was so used to calling that light vehicle as being a 222.
Enemy is taking our territory.
But we're seeing the Strug instead kind of going by the wayside, and why not? I mean, that guy's got a ton of kills. He's definitely been, there's what I was trying to say, definitely been the MVP for this map so far for the Germans. 24 kills. He kept hopes alive when all seemed lost. But you know what? He's got 3 stars right now, so he's full vet. He's got himself, a much more accurate shots, rate of fire, mobility, and he's got that target weak point, and that's really what you want to see out of your tanks. Now the other Strug being called onto the field is going to back away before taking too much extra fire from the Pak-40. Coupled with the Su-76, we might see the other Strug go down, but no, instead the Su-76 is going to probably pay for his temerity with his life. Yep, there he goes. So now there's only one source of anti-tank left on the field, and that is that captured pack gun. If that goes down, ladies and gentlemen, that is all she wrote. That is the whole shebang, and it doesn't matter that SShaker has only a couple hundred tickets left. If his tanks are allowed to run rampant, and that includes the self-propelled guns, then it's going to be pretty much lights out. This is the most boss combat engineer squad, throwing down the explosive trap, let's say. Unfortunately, backing away before it gets completely out. But this guy still have a hazard removal kit and that awesome Shrek. Now, we have ourselves a mini Panzer Kyle as well. The T-Guys moving forwards, throwing rounds at the Pak-40. And the Pak-40 itself has the first star veterancy the same way that the Strug has a target weak point. It's the same thing pretty much for the Pak. Now, unfortunately for the Pak is that he has a heck of a lot less health than your average Tiger tank. And you see that happening right about now. A Tiger and the Strug take out the anti-tank gun without too much issue. Now, the only way this could be better, though, is that this could be removing the Pak-40 by exploding it. Instead, the Strug's going to move forward to take on that and take on the mortar crew. Not the most important thing in my mind, but, whatever. Another interesting thing, too, Pauly D, I understand that wants desperately to get out some anti-tank, but he sacrificed one of his combat engineers with that Shrek to do it. And as such, we will see that soft AT lost. And those, oh my gosh, those poor Penal Battalion troops not getting it just in time. Ziscon is going to announce its presence. They've just been called in, and with those Pyos shifting forward on top of the Penal Battalion troops, it looks like SShaker is willing to sacrifice his infantry to keep his tanks alive. And can't you blame him? I mean, right now, there's really nothing to hold on to them, to stand up to them, excuse me, on the map. Heck, SShaker could just spam out Pyos for the rest of the map, and I think he'd be in pretty good shape. Not what he's going to do, is he's going to keep going with this kind of very, very dynamic build. And although he's taking losses, he's still losing tickets. The Soviets, I will think, are probably pretty much up against it. Half the army supply of their opponents. And no real way of countering what exists for the German war machine right now. Now, if they can start picking up squads, it'd be even better. We will see that one of these Dushkas is going to go down in the face of this Tiga, kind of shelling the building and taking out the garrison. And this less vetted up Stug is going to show its heels to the Ziskan, but the Ziskan says, apparently, I want nothing to do with it. I'm going to circle strafe till I die. I'm just going to back away slowly. Just smile and wave, boys. Just smile and wave. Where does that leave us, though? Well, it leaves us at 35 minutes and 30 seconds in, 298 to 161, and another machine gun's coming out for Shaker. Not sure necessarily why he's doing it at this point. I know those Peanut Battalion troops are quite annoying, but they're not doing enough at this point, and unfortunately, Paul A.D. is getting a little bit salty. That's unfortunate right there. Oy vey, I hate when that happens. So 294 to 161. We're going to see Paul A.D. start to take losses here, and with the Germans with their 3 armored vehicles on the map, I think Paul A.D. really can just kind of call in one more Sherman and probably stake all of his hopes and dreams on that. He hasn't tacked up to have his mechanized armor compania. Tank of battalion command, that's it, really. Instead, he's going to start to spam out lots and lots of Zis guns, and I mean that can work, but only when you're really just defending a very defined point on the map, and your opponent just throws their tanks at you in a very, very big, massive wave. And I don't think that's going to be the case here. So we're going to see Shaker sitting back at the trip cap for him, 270 to 161. That third Ziskan's going to come out, and watch that be the opportunity for the Soviets to make pretty much what I think will be the last great push. Moving forward, and S-mines have now gone down too. So yes, those combat engineers are going to know that those are out there, and that's great for them. But if there's any kind of, armored vehicles in the area, then ain't gonna matter. These combat engineers are moving forward because those combat vehicles are going to shell the combat engineers into oblivion. But I guess that's what the Zisguns are for. And somehow the combat engineer does not actually lose that Shrek. He still has that captured Shrek. I'm a little surprised by that one. I would like to see a shell or two setting up. There goes the S-mine field, and it just starts to blow apart those combat engineers. One of the best things about those S-mines is that, well, pretty much about any mines, is that they fire and explode pretty much when any kind of shell hits them. Not that's going to be so much better for the diffusing troops, but it's always, always kind of a nice fallback option. Shaker's mortar team says, F that well. I'm not thirsty. You're not allowed to be thirsty either. I'm thirsty for victory. And 204 to 161 looks like he might even pick that up. Triple Zis and a single Shrek. That's not going to be enough. Heck, the Tiger could probably take most of what's being dished out to him. Circling behind these AT guns, and everybody else can kind of just move up and just, pelt them to death. Now, Paulie D, I will say, has an absolute ton of munitions. I kind of feel like he should be using his munitions right now to call in those light arty strikes. And he is terrified of moving forward on the eastern side, trying to pick up that VP, and you can't blame him on that one either. I mean, the guy is totally going to get wrecked if he stays where he is. We can see a light arty barrage coming out from Shaker right on top of that mortar team. And just impacting all around, barely not taking them out. So we see this gun's moving forward, and here comes the German assault. The Tiger's take a ton of damage in just a second or two, mark my words. But the Stug instead is the most vetted up Stug that's going to take fire. And now with the gun line broken, the Zisguns are starting to get savaged. You might see the 3-star Stug go down, but he will not go quietly into the night. No, never mind. 2 Zisguns are down already. The third one's going to drop in the next shell, I guarantee it. There he goes. There is no more anti-tank on the field, and Shaker goes and pulls it out. That'd be right up against the wall for quite a bit of time. He manages to kind of seal the deal. Well played by Shaker to bring that back. And Paulie D, I'm sorry, buddy, you got really unlucky with the RNG on those Shermans. But congratulations to Shaker. Excellent game. Thank you so much for sending this in to me. I always like seeing a Wehrmacht win. I like seeing a German win. Hey, I'm definitely a Deutsche File when it comes to Code 2. But well done to both sides. Definitely an interesting build from both players. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Final score 149 to 161. It is I was going to say Soviet victory. It's a German victory on that one. And that's going to be it for us today. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in. If you like what you see, please comment, like, and subscribe. I've seen some excellent stuff from you guys already. Let's keep it coming. And this is Con Ulrich signing off. You all have a great day. Take it easy.